Okay, how do you stand out and win more work in a challenging market? Now, I hear a lot of small businesses saying in this country right now that the market's dead. I'll tell you what, it isn't. The money hasn't disappeared. People are still spending. They're still saying yes to quotes. They're just doing it probably with a few businesses less than what they were 12 months ago. Now, the businesses they're saying yes to aren't the cheapest ones. They're the ones that stand out in the crowd. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you how to be one of those businesses. But to do it properly, I've got to tell you a story that I don't usually tell from stage or in public, really. See, during the GFC, I had a painting and decorating business. I had 15 blokes making good coin, good profit. I had an 80% conversion rate on the leads that were coming in. Work was easy. And then the market changed. Quotes that I should have landed, I should have got, I thought I was a shoo-in, stopped landing. Conversations stopped being about what we could do, and they started being about what we actually cost. They were questioning my pricing. So what did I do? I made the bloody worst decision I've ever made in business. I started competing on price. And that's when everything started to go wrong for me. My margins started to bleed. I hadn't built a cash buffer in the good times because they actually never felt like they were going to end. Everything was going so well. Why would it end? And then what happens is the ATO comes calling and I was behind on super. And then I got workers' comp auditing me. I had nowhere to go. The debt was compounding faster than I could earn to pay it back. And I ended up walking away from that business I'd spent years building with nothing to show for it before it took my life. I didn't lose that business because the market got tough. I lost it because of the decisions I made when the market got tough, the stupid business decisions. I lost it because I tried to compete on price instead of how do I stand out. And because I hadn't built a buffer in the good times that would have given me options in the bad. Now, that's the lesson I had to learn the expensive way. And the one I'm about to help you learn the very cheap way just by me presenting this video. The same lesson now is playing out in two businesses that I work with. Two landscapers, same trade, same market, different geographical locations, but completely different outcomes. Now, here's how I describe what's happening to my clients. See, when times get tough and the pond you've been fishing in starts drying up, you don't give up fishing. You go and find a different pond. But now that new pond, it's got less fish. They're better quality though. And if you want to catch one, you've got to spend more time researching the bait that they're going to like, that they're going to take. I just want you to hold that thought. Now, let me show you what I mean. Bloke A, remember those two blokes I talked about earlier? Bloke A came to me 4 years ago. The market was booming. He didn't need a coach. He was doing just fine. But you know what? He came anyway because he wanted to build a business, not just have a job. Now, that's a smart way of thinking. So we spent those 4 years doing all the unsexy work. We built 6 months of trading income sitting in a separate account. We had a second account now that captured all of his employee entitlements as well as they accrued. We built out a sales process that didn't depend on him chasing every quote. And we created a very clear picture in his mind of which jobs made him money and which ones didn't. So he built the foundations while the sun was actually shining. Now, today, the market's turned for him. His phone's a bit quieter. Instead of 5 leads a week, he's only getting 1, if that. And he's not panicking, though. He's just adjusting. We've downsized. We've taken 2 crews and made them 1. And he subcontracts anything that's overflowing from that. He's doing fewer jobs, but making more money. He hasn't dropped his prices. And he's actually just bought into a second business. See, he's just purchased a commercial maintenance business. Because commercial buildings, they're always going to need maintaining, and there's not a lot of worry about money when it comes to commercial. Now, while everyone else is fighting over those scraps in residential, he's gone fishing in a completely different pond. Now, bloke B came to me 3 months ago. And By then, the market had already turned for him. He'd had to let some of his boys go, and he was burning through what was left of his savings. He hadn't built a cash flow buffer in the good times because he hadn't seen the point. Mate, business is good. Why would I sit on cash? And so he probably went and spent it on new utes and new cars. He didn't come to me to build a business. He came to me to save one. And those are two completely different conversations. So today, he's printing brochures. He's letterbox dropping. He's rebranding into a homeowner's concierge service because he reckons offering everything to everyone is the answer. And it's something we had to work on together so he could get work in the door. And he's dropped his prices. See, he's desperate. Now, if that sounds familiar, because it does, it's exactly what I did in the GFC. The man giving the advice now lived the same script back then. And here's the hard part of my job right now. I have to tell him that everything he's doing is what I would have told him not to do. Only if he'd come to me a year ago, though, not now. That's not a failure of advice. It's just a failure around his timing of what's happening. Now, there's 3 patterns that separate these two blokes. Write them down if you've got a pen or something to write with, or just take notes on your phone. 1, the buffer is built in the good times, not the bad. Bloke A, he built his 3 years ago. Bloke B never built one at all. Now, when the market turned, one of them had options and the other didn't. And if you're in a good month right now, that's not a sign to spend and go out and buy jet skis and boats and new utes. That's a sign to build the buffer that protects you next year. 2, don't compete on price. Never compete on price. Just stand out on value. Bloke B is dropping his prices. Bloke A isn't. And Bloke A is making more money now on fewer jobs with less people. There's always someone cheaper, always. The only way out is to give people a reason to choose you that isn't price. And 3, pivot from strength and not panic. It's too late when you're desperate. Both blokes are diversifying, same action, completely different outcomes. Because bloke A is moving toward an opportunity and bloke B is running away from a problem. Now, before I land this, let me be straight. Change is hard. And most of you that are listening to this or watching this, based on the maths, will probably not do anything different. You're going to get back to work on Monday, Tuesday morning, doesn't matter when it is, and nothing's going to change. Now, that's not me just being negative. It's the truth. It's the truth of me telling you what's happening out there. But some of you will. And the ones that do in 2 years won't recognize the business that they're running today. So here's the only thing I'll ask you to go and do on Monday morning. Sit down, grab a coffee, and ask yourself one question. Why would a customer choose me over my competitor? Now, if you can answer that in one clear sentence, congratulations. You're going to stand out. You're going to be okay. But if you can't, that's your homework. The market hasn't changed as much as you think. Your positioning hasn't changed enough to meet the market where it's at. The customers are still out there, I can guarantee. They're just a lot more careful about who they're spending it with. Now, I told you at the start, there's a way I describe this to every client, and I've said it before. When times get tough and the pond you've been fishing in starts drying up, you don't give up fishing. You just go and find a different pond. But beware, the new pond has got less fish. They're better quality, and if you want to catch one, you've got to spend more time researching the bait, because the old bait will not work in this water. The market hasn't disappeared. The fish is still out there. The only question I'm going to ask you is this. Can those fish spot you in the water? Please subscribe to the channel if you want more educational videos like this.